So I'm just I'll try not to duplicate what I've talked about. I mean, navigating uncertainty. I mean, we just got so many influences right now impacting, the tourism and tourism behavior. We've obviously got gas prices, we've got the Park Service reservation system, and then internationally, we've got so much uncertainty with Russia and Ukraine and lingering COVID. So part of that is we see the need to shift a little bit of our tone when it comes to what we're talking about in our marketing. And that's really to become a little bit more inspirational, meditative quality, acknowledging people that they need to find some peace and reconnect with nature and balance their lives. And I mean, this is the destination that does that. So I think it's an opportunity for us to speak to that more. I've mentioned the budget. Forecasting for the future is really how do we reforecast and budget and really try to be as accurate as we can with the unknowns in the coming fiscal year. Continuing to build a solid plan. We are going to be into our third year of our deep marketing plan. So the entire team is working on their marketing plan segments now. We'll have that completed by April 30th, and that'll be part of the May 19th presentation as we share our marketing plan, which also drives many of our budgetary decisions. I mean, the flexibility side is, with digital and other media costs increasing exponentially, we're facing stiff competition. And so this is a repeat. We've got every DMO back in the market, destinations pumping huge amounts of money back into the markets. The good news is that the federal government is now refunding Brand USA and US Travel Association. Visit California has been funded, and the state has nearly doubled their budget from $100 to $195 million. So if Rosemary, she's off my screen, hopefully she's listening, because that's a bit of a pitch that we're hoping that Mariposa County will help with the county brand. And that includes with keeping a seat at the table is what I talked about with the Park Service, making sure that we can work with them when it comes to ideas on dispersing visitation and coming up with different ideas that don't lead to a permanent implementation of a vehicle plan, but also with the county too, that we really want to have that public-private partnership continue. My video is unstable, so I'm going off video. So we just want to make sure that we're working together. Being good communicators, just mentioned the town halls, really helping and trying to help our lodging partners with their communication efforts. So we did the town hall meeting. Tony wrote some really great letters that could be used by lodging partners to help communicate and a lot of positivity that they'll still be able to access the park and overall reduce cancellations. And so we're doing everything we can to help the Lodging Association, help our business partners, as well as what Ellen will talk about, which is some work that we're doing on the Google and business listing side. Big dreams. Website RFP is huge. So that's some big projects that are coming up. And then keeping the eye on the prize. Our goal is to, make Mariposa County as sustainable as possible in every way. We want to keep people working. We want to keep them from leaving the county off public assistance and really enjoying productive and happy lives. And I say that because it's important to the culture of the Tourism Bureau. I mean, if you're talking to Craig or Aaron or Ellen or Tony or I, that's what drives us, is that we really want to make a true difference in the community and make it as sustainable as possible year round, keep people off public assistance and have them, have good lives. So that is my executive director update. And we'll just move through the rest of the slides pretty quickly. So TOT, we send this report out to a few of you. I showed you in the Excel spreadsheet that we do see that our forecast should probably exceed what is in there as our original budget. But in general, we're doing better than expected on TOT and TBID income. I do want to pause for a quick second and ask you, the board members, this question because it's important kind of going into where we're projecting. So across the county in general, and speaking with many of you, we believe that the TOT increases, the fact that we're closer to budget than normal, is really average daily rate driven. And wondering how you feel that will be in 2022. Do you feel like you'll be able to or will hold your rates, or are you going to have to drop your rates? And then questions beyond that. So will you hold those rates? Do you think that lower guest counts are going to impact your ancillary revenues, such as food and beverage revenues or retail revenues? And in general, do you think your guest counts, due to occupancy counts being lower, how do you think those are going to impact the community? And maybe if I could just ask some of the board members on the call to take a minute and just tell us how you feel. One of the things that we've been doing with these board meetings is us as a team talk all the time. We'd really like to hear from you. So Devin, maybe I'll ask you to speak to that, and then we can just ask a few of the lodging managers, owners to talk about it.
Sure, I'll go. So definitely have been holding our rate. That was our strategy in 2021 and into 2022. We'll continue to do that. Again, the increase in cost of labor and supplies, like you say, are really a driving factor for that. We keep on raising our wages to be above minimum wage, and hopefully that will help us with our recruiting and keeping the people that we have. And I do believe that I think there might be some impact this year with ancillary revenues, with gas being so high. I think we're going to see per capita spend down a little bit, even though we're holding rate with the rooms. And again, I fear that with this reservation system for the summer, I think that Mariposa County TOT tax is going to be impacted, because I think if last year was the indication, we were 50% in July and August versus 90, 95 to 100%. I'm not sure what everybody else was experiencing, but that's what we experienced here tonight.
Thank you, Brett. Doug?
I'll go. Yeah, I mean, I have a very different business than the Tenaya. Very different business from a lot of people. I haven't been able to hold my rates with the park restrictions. To a degree, I can. And this year, look, I've got my groups and, the tours coming through, which helps things a lot. I might do a lot better this year, and that's what I'm hoping for. But it's nearly impossible for me to see how I can get a strong summer by March 23rd and feel that in the latter part of the summer, it won't soften, especially in September. So for me, yes, I think I'm happy that we did as well last year as we did, but I'm afraid that the weaknesses inherent in the restrictions of access to the park will end up with softer rates at the end of summer. All things look good, but let's face it, the threshold with limited entry is a huge tripping factor. I think we've done well, considering it's hard to know 1-2 weeks from the next exactly what's going to happen. in the next 2 weeks. You're constantly trying to gauge. I feel like all of my experience means nothing sometimes. So for me, in order to have enough people to drive, yes, restaurants and spa attendants and those employees, I have sacrificed rates on occasion to be able to do well in aspects in the restaurant. Just like everybody else, I have employee issues, and the restaurant, I think, is the worst. I don't think that's going to change anytime soon. And our property fire insurance went up 5 times from what it was 2 years ago. So, I feel like we're under pressure from all angles, and this restriction in the summer exacerbates it to being painful. I really do expect overall occupancy to be reduced by 15 to 20%, like it was actually worse last year. Because I just can't really tell what the park's going to do. And I keep finding myself adjusting my expectations. There are some times that I don't know what I'm going to do and how bad if it's going to affect us. But, if what Kevin says, from all things that he says, that it looks like a banner year, I'm going to look a little more optimistic. But yeah, I think overall, whether it's occupancy or rate, I think we're going to suffer here and there. I'm just hoping for another great winter next year.
Okay. Thanks, Doug. I appreciate that. Gautam, are you able to go off mute? I know you were listening in the background.
Sure.
Yeah,
I think. Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
Please.
I think that we're a little bit more similar to Doug as what he mentioned. Like, we're definitely seeing a significant occupancy decrease. I think that it may be that our we don't have the same proximity to the park that Kevin and his properties enjoy, and I think that we're still obviously we haven't updated our product in a while, and we've discussed many times, like, that has been a plan that got delayed due to COVID. So I think a combination of those two things has made it. We're not forecasting or projecting a great, definitely not a banner year, and certainly booking pace and all that has not really kept up with any of the past years, like pre-COVID. So I don't think that we don't have the same expectations. We would be really happy if that was the case, but I don't think that is what we're really planning on. Yeah, that's the international tourism market. Sorry, go ahead.
We hear your son in the background?
Yes, that is my son. Yeah, in the background.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Kim, how about from a vacation rental perspective? What are you seeing?
We have an interesting property because we have it's just one rental, but it's really big. And so even before COVID, the most of our guests are coming from the Bay Area. They're like, family members from San Francisco and from Sacramento that are just getting together, or, we've never really had a lot of European visitors or anything like that, just because we're a bigger space. We're not, just 2 people. And so it's actually been really great for us. And I don't think we had one single weekend available last year. And this year, we've actually been doing some improvements. So we closed for a couple weekends, but other than that, we're pretty solidly booked, and it's just indicative of, people staying local and wanting to see family and friends again in a sort of more isolated, safe area. It's like, it's not in a hotel. It's just, they get this 5 acres to themselves. We have hiking trails and a pool and hot tub that is completely private, and it's just the people that are renting the property. So it's actually been beneficial for us. I don't know how long that will continue to remain true, but it's
Sounds
been kind of
wonderful.
nice.
Sign me up.
What's that?
I said, sounds wonderful. Sign me up.
Yeah, exactly. So, we even before COVID, it was mostly people from California. So we're not seeing a much difference in that regard.
Are you doing weddings and some special events and things there too?
Yeah, well, we never really advertised at all for weddings, and it's always been word of mouth. We had one last year. We have 2 scheduled for this year, which is kind of perfect for us. We're small. We don't want to be doing a lot more than that. It's we have our event coming. We have a yoga retreat, our own event that we do, which is a music festival. That'll be in June. We have a yoga retreat scheduled in June. So, it's been like, we don't want to do a lot more of those kinds of events because we're small and it's a lot of work. So the vacation rental is really a nice income.
Well, I appreciate everybody's feedback on that. And before we go to the next slide, I just want to say thank you to the Noble team, because they need to pack up and head back to Reno, and we'll keep going. So if I step away for a second, it will be to give them all hugs goodbye. I also at this time wanted to start out, and I neglected to just provide a huge thank you to Tony and Ellen and Craig and Aaron. They have been doing a massive amount of work, and you'll see that as you go through, but every one of these efforts takes a lot of time. I mean, Scott was talking about the Horsetail Fall video. We'll show some numbers. It's well over 100,000 views. A lot of work went into that, and I didn't do any of it. It was all Tony and Craig and Ellen organizing and putting that together. So I appreciate their entrepreneurial spirit and owning each of their areas of business and having a lot of passion. And I'm not sure if Jennifer will be staying on, but we're looking forward to 360 View PR coming out and doing an immersion with us and being out and visiting us here pretty soon as well. So with that, we'll continue on with the presentation, try to move through things pretty quick, because I know it's hard to stay on a board meeting for a couple hours, but I appreciate that feedback, because these Zoom meetings are tough because we don't hear from you as much as we like.
Jonathan, were we going to ask Christian to talk, or Kevin?
Oh, I'm so sorry. Yes, thank you. Dropped off my view. So yeah, Christian, please.
I'm almost a little afraid to say anything, because we're in the park, and we're fortunate that way. So, the reservation system actually works in our favor. We had a great year last year, and we're going to have a banner year this year. It looks like it, if we don't have any interruptions, fires, and that kind of thing. So my main concern really is the high inflation and the gas prices. That might hurt us a little bit. We usually have a 3-night minimum stay during the summer months, June, July, and August to mid-September. And for this year, we actually, for the first time ever, implemented a 4-night minimum stay. Tracking still looks good. So what we might be doing is going back to a 3-night, just because I do not want to change my rates. But we might be able to offer a little bit of a break to our guests or vacationers, by letting them stay a little shorter time instead of 4 nights, 3 nights, maybe even 2 nights. So we would make it a less expensive vacation possible. Like everybody else, my issue is labor, of course. We do own 2 homes. So this summer, we're going to be able to accommodate 21 out of town housekeeping employees in 2 of our own cabins, and I actually rented a cabin. We have about 13 J1 students to help us, and we have a couple of people that are coming from. We have San Diego. We have somebody from Florida, and it really has worked out for us last year. They seem to be really highly motivated to work with us and work in Yosemite. So I think we're probably going to have a good year. So that's my contribution. But like I said, being in the park, the reservation system has not affected us negatively.
Thank you, Christian. Ellen, did I miss anybody else?
Kevin? Does Kevin want to talk?
I'll just say quickly that the spring so far has been very good for us, in particular with Yosemite View Lodge, which is a little bit closer to the park. We see reservations coming in strong for the summer, although we saw reservations coming in really strong last year for the summer as well, but then had a lot of cancellations because of the reservation system. I do anticipate that we'll hopefully be able to hang on to some of those reservations that we would have lost had the park not allowed for the peak time reservation system. So we're hoping to be able to, we know we'll have angry guests because of it, but we're hoping to be able to at least capture and keep some of those in spite of them not being able to get a reservation into the park. But with our reservations, we're seeing a pretty short booking window on those, shorter than what we've seen in the past. And as far as a banner year, I do anticipate it's going to be good, but I would say banner over the last couple of years, not necessarily a banner over everything. Had we not had the reservation system, though, I think it absolutely would have been a banner year for us. We've been able to maintain and increase rates, hoping to be able to continue that through the summer. And with that, we should end quite well.
I think one of the challenges for some properties, I think, Kevin, you've mentioned this too, is you have so many reservations that come in through wholesalers or third parties that it's very difficult to communicate directly to those guests. So it's hard to send pre-arrival emails that talk about the reservation system and get them prepared for that. So Kevin, I think his properties have to deal with a lot more shock at the desk if those third parties aren't communicating out.
Shall we go forward?
Yeah, let's do that.
Okay. Just wanted to, I think our noble folks are gone. So they were going to speak to some of this. I just wanted to make sure that we understood with our KPIs, we're hoping to, right the ship a little bit more in terms of our percentages to goal. But I do want to make sure we also understand that all of our KPIs, our annual goals are quite high. We set them up that way at the beginning without having any crystal ball to see what was happening with the Omicron variants. So knowing all of that, we are actually, and you'll see this in some of our slides, actually higher than we have been at any time that we've been tracking with some of these. In particular, our overall sessions, we were 1.8 million at this time in February last year, at the end of February. We're now at 2.1 million. So I think if you think about these things as being indicative of where we would like to be. And that being an important piece. Of course, our primary KPI is our referrals, and we are about 24,000 behind where we were with our lodging referrals last year. And again, we're hoping that a lot of the infusion of additional dollars of our budget will help turn that around. We're seeing the same issue with Book Direct, which we'll talk about in a second.
Ellen, their Noble has stuck it out, so they're still here with us.
Yeah,
Oh,
I was
did you
going to
have-
say, Ellen, we'll just have Danny share a couple of quick tidbits in regards to that slide, and then the Noble team will say goodbye because we have a long drive back to Reno. But there's a couple insights that we wanted to share along with your awesome update.
Go for it.
Yeah, totally. So as Ellen mentioned, when we're creating, we plan out and estimate our KPIs in July of every year based on a number of things, not only what spend will be for the next year, what our last 2 to 3 years has performed at, as well as taking into account additional growth just based on what we're seeing in the market. And so we did, as Ellen mentioned, an aspirational goal of, okay, well, we have these things is what we can predict. Our budget at that time was a little bit lower, so we took that into account. Since then, we've seen some injections, and we're just trying to plan for that. And again, this being a little bit of a shoulder season, this pace is equal, is paced out equally throughout the year, which is not realistic, but gives us an idea of where we're pacing. And we assume that in the next couple of months, we'll start to get closer to that pace where we should be at, just based on the trends we've seen from a traffic perspective and from a referral perspective. But overall, even though the goals right now aren't meeting at pace, we're still outperforming numbers in the past 3 years. So doing pretty well.
They're pretty aggressive goals this year.
Yes, yeah, they are.
More so than was probably the right choice. And you can all blame me on that for that.
Well, we like a good challenge.
Yeah, we did increase. We like the challenge. So we'll just take that into account when we're looking at those numbers.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Thank you all so much for having us. It's been great being in market, and we're just thinking of you all of your properties, of the county, the locals, really passionate about the region.
Yeah.
We had a great time meeting, seeing the rally at the alley last night with the crew. And so anyways, best wishes from the Noble team.
Yeah.
Thanks for having us.
Thank you, everyone. Talk to you later.
Bye.
Bye.
Nice. Appreciate
Thank
it.
you. Bye-bye.
Bring the baby by anyway. I don't know what you heard. Jonathan, you're going to talk to Book Direct.
I think, it's just a continuation. We are seeing decent activity, but again, we're wanting to put more money in to drive more visitation and more interaction with Book Direct. There are some areas that we're still working on. We've discovered a few anomalies, but overall it's performing well. And conversions are good, and it's great to be able to see the revenue.
So as I was mentioning before, just our overall growth sessions, we're in the orange line at the moment. We're seeing that above all other 3 years that we've been tracking. We expect to have, if not a record year, close to a record year in terms of our sessions overall. In terms of our site channel performance, only a couple areas are we seeing going down slightly. Those are paid social and referral, but overall great work in terms of our year-over-year growth, especially in paid search, and our social is way up. So we're very happy about that. We're continuing to look at our bounce rates as well as our pages average per visit, trying to reduce our bounce rates and increase our pages. Noble was going to speak more directly to this slide. This shows basically, again, our budget over time, We do have a larger budget. We have infused another 40,000 into this budget that's not reflected on the current information. But that is important so that, again, we are not only meeting our KPIs for the sake of meeting KPIs, but more importantly, driving traffic and making sure that it is getting into conversions and referrals for our lodging partners. Same thing with our paid media budget. We will be showing at the next meeting the additional spend going into that budget. Our display ad performance in domestically, display ads are not our favorite way of getting more people to the site, but they are still somewhat effective. For the first time that I can remember, our average click-through rate is higher than the industry benchmark. So that's a good thing for display. These are on the right, two of our most popular and effective display ads. And we're seeing that they are working better this year overall, a year-over-year increase of 239% in terms of actual referrals. Our international market growth, again, this is one area that we kind of budgeted a little bit lower because we didn't have any means of knowing when the borders were going to open up with our internationally. So you'll see that starting in November, December, things started picking up. We're now at one of our highest ever. We have redone landing pages for Australia and the UK, which you'll see in a second, and are getting ready to put a German landing page and new German display ad campaign together that will start shortly. So we expect this to be a banner. We're using banner a lot this today, but we'll expect to have a better year in terms of international market growth. This is an example of the UK. Obviously, for what we're spending, which is not a lot of money overall, we've had over 10.8 million impressions and almost 27,000 clicks. We're a little bit behind in terms of our benchmark for the effectiveness of these, but we also do know that a lot of what we're trying to do, and we don't track conversions on this per se because of the way that people book. They don't book through booking engines, they book through travel agents. When we look at our Australian campaign, you'll see gobsmacking is up there as it was with the UK display. We have been asking our international partners what they would see as being similar words to use so that they're actually relating to the audience in these countries. And so It's a Beaut is our newer one. This has only been running about 6 weeks or so, but still almost 5 million impressions. And we're happy to see that this one is starting to generate the attention that we were hoping. We do monitor everything, and I want to make sure that's the other piece that everybody understands is that Noble does a fantastic job of monitoring to make sure that if we can make adjustments, that we make those adjustments to improve our campaign performance.
Ellen, I'd like to just jump in and say that on the UK and Australia campaigns, and we're adding Germany, no other DMO, no other marketing group is doing this. This is YMCTB idea and outreach. So we're buying Yosemite brand terms in those countries. And the costs on this is very low. So the number of impressions and the clicks we're getting, we're doing this with just a few $1,000s monthly to have pretty massive reach.
Thanks, Jonathan. Finally, our YouTube. Again, this is a high funnel thing. We're not expecting a lot of conversions out of it, but we're seeing that even when we increase a little bit, we're getting an even higher rate of return. And what we're hoping is that we are going to continue to, again, develop new creative that will help, as our creative has been seen multiple times over the year, that new creative will continue to encourage people to click or just become a follower as well. Final, the paid social media ads performance. Industry benchmark is 0.9%. Our average for all of our social media is paid is 1.86, so double the industry benchmark. These are the two, again, top performing ads. The ad on the winter one actually had a CTR of 3.63. So again, several times over the industry standard. We do, however, know that we had some better CTRs last year. So we're trying to figure out why. We might, switch out some images for some of the things that aren't performing as well. Even at this point, though, we're moving into spring. Tony.
Hello, everyone. So with search engine optimization, thank you, Ellen. With search engine optimization, this is how we're bringing people into the website through our search engines. I wanted to include this side because it specifically talks about the ways we're bringing people into the articles through search engines, and that's our biggest opportunity to be able to really write for what people are searching for. On the right-hand side, you see our articles that are bringing the most people into Yosemite.com. And we're seeing a lot of success with this. And one of the ways we're seeing success is, you see the stat there on the left, 41% year-over-year increase in average time spent on page, as well as an 11% increase in page views year-over-year for our blogs. We're pleased with the work here, and we're going to continue to make this a primary component of our content strategy. And with this slide, I was hoping to let Noble speak a little bit, but understand they have to drive back. But the key takeaway here is that we are holding on our scorecard for all the search terms that we want to rank for. We are holding the rank that we were previously. So we talked a little bit about the RFP and the work going into Yosemite.com's new website, or Yosemite.com 3.0. The slide says Yosemite.com 2.5, but we're really more in like Yosemite 2.75 at this point. We have not given up on continuing to update and work on our current site. We will not do that. Some of the things that we've accomplished in the last quarter have been including improving our special offers page, and we're going to talk more to that in a moment. One of the ways that we've improved that is to be able to better track and better send some of the people from these special offers to your website directly. We're also currently going through a navigation cleanup task, and that'll be completed before our next quarter ends. With content creation, we talked about the SEO side of things a little bit, but some of the ones that we want to focus on a little bit is glamping. That's a very high search term that we see a lot of, as well as a lot of media interest. We wrote an article on that. We have updated our reservation system page with the new updates there, and we're already pushing a lot of traffic to it. And our Horsetail Fall, which is something that is very heavily searched for, we updated that page, and there's a little snippet of the video there. Fiscal year goal was 40 new stories. We're at 36. So by the end of March, we'll have accomplished that goal, which I'm really pleased with. And with special offers, I'm going to speak to this a little bit and then hand the mic over to Aaron. But the things that I really want to point out with special offers is it's the same thing I do every time. It's just talk about the success of the page to hopefully motivate all of you to send us special offers. In 2 months, this page has gotten 90,000 views through a mix of paid views as well as organic views. And something I noticed when I was putting this slide together is that we're seeing more people go to the special offers page than we are to the lodging page, which really says that, especially with rising prices, inflation, people are looking for deals before they're looking for lodging. So it's just another way to get your business in front of people who are still planning trips. It's fourth most visited page on our site, and 2 of those in front of it will be the home page as well as the UK page. And more than half the traffic to this is paid. We're investing in those offers. So please, please send us your offers. Aaron, I'd love to hand it over to you.
Yeah, so just to piggyback basically off of what Tony was saying, yeah, so it is doing better than, it is our 4th most visited page behind basically the America and the UK home pages. which are the main pages. So you already see that's doing pretty well comparatively. Now, one thing I will speak about in a little bit is going to be our lodging letters. When we sent those out, we also put an insert inside of them, basically encouraging constituents to send in their special offers to us. We've had a couple properties reach out, but again, like Tony said, the more offers we have, the more successful the program is ultimately.
Hello, everybody. Okay, so we're only a couple months in on this quarter, so we're going to give you a little bit more of an overview here. You can see we are currently at 286 posts this quarter, total of 1,343 for the year to date. Social media continues to be influenced by all of the turbulent events going on in the world. We're continuing to monitor and adapt. Social media space seems to be changing a little bit. We're watching to track the experience that people want to have when they're on social media. Our Facebook channel is growing slower than it did in the past, although it still grew by more than 5,000 followers in the first 2 months of this calendar year. Which is strong growth. We also saw some of our most successful posts in those 2 months. So it's kind of a mixed signal there, but it's still going strong. We continue to pace well towards achieving the majority of our performance metrics. Our primary channels are still growing strongly. I'd like to note that our Q3 Twitter account result there, which has been slowly leaking followers for the past few years, has just turned an historic corner to a positive number. You'll see that the Q3 total is 1 positive follower. Yay, us! But joking aside, the metric looks funny, but it represents a big change in what we've been seeing on that channel. It's taken a lot of work to kind of get that ocean liner turning in the direction we want it to. So just a few post examples. The one on the left there is our best performing Facebook post. It's organic, and it's probably a record-setting post. Over 10,000 reactions, 1,600 shares. And on the right, you can see we have the best performing paid or boosted post, which is on cross-country skiing at Badger Pass, which is not a topic that we necessarily have seen a lot of success with. At almost 8,300 reactions, 414 shares. And this is the best performing Instagram post, definitely a record breaker for us with over 15,000 reactions. Next. We go. Video production. You can see we have. You can see we have 17 more scheduled. But we are reevaluating where our work is going on the video side to try and leverage the work into more channels.
So let me come back with our email marketing. We have already, with 4 months to go, reached the same number, or actually more numbers of emails than were sent last year. We are being more consistent in our messaging and trying to give more information to especially the media and doing better on our travel trade as well. We have consistently also been working on making sure that we have good lists. So we are doing re-engagement campaigns in order to get rid of those people who are not responding anymore. And then also using drip campaigns with people who are new to the list to get them more engaged in coming to Yosemite.com. Our most recent performance related to our performance in blue in that second slide or second chart to the right shows that our performance is outperforming industry standards in both our consumer and constituent lists. Just a quick thing on traditional print. Some of it's like the right has been a co-op work that we've done. We've also done some just non-co-op work with print to get into new groups of people. Sorry, don't know what happened there. Here's our latest 6-page insert for the Spring Bang, as we call it, the Bay Area News Group. Not only a good, we get a lot of good response from it. Our partners are been very, so sorry. Our partners have been also happy that we've been including them in the articles. So you can see not only the 4 partners there, but to the right, the 4 perfect options article has helped us get more people to see what's happening. Here's traditional radio. We did our Above the Fog campaign, which ran not ION, but on 6 different radio stations from Modesto to Modesto, probably from Fresno to Modesto. And then we ran a 2-week run with KCBS for late winter. We're getting ready to run a 3-week run with them next week. And we also have another promotion going on with the folks at KOIT and their sister stations right now in the Bay Area. We've been doing some native advertising co-ops for quite a bit now. The microclimates article on the left that you'll see was actually produced by SF Gate. And we didn't plan to do this, but because of some lack of response from the folks at LA Times, we decided just to syndicate this well-done article from SF Gate into Los Angeles Magazine and LA Weekly. And we've been very pleased with how these things have translated. SF Gate does a really beautiful job in making these pieces function and look great. Tony.
So this is as we move over to PR, thank you, Ellen. As we move over to PR, this slide represents some of the selected featured outlets that we've seen some of our, some references to Mariposa County included in. These are either by result of a press trip, as the AFAR one was, San Francisco Chronicle and the Mercury News, we'll speak to that in a second, and MSN and Travel and Leisures was as a result from 360 View PR's work. And Jonathan, if you would, I'd like you to speak to this slide since these are all your quotes in these outlets.
Yeah, I mean, obviously there's been a lot of outreach because of the reservation system. And at one point there wasn't a lot of communication from the park. That's changed. So there's been a shift where through Tony's effort, through 360 View PR's effort, Mariposa County is now, once again, I believe, being seen as the best quotable source when it comes to information about Yosemite National Park and our region. So we're engaged and we're sharing our opinion and concerns over the reservation system, some of those details.
Here we take a look at some of the we've had 3 FAMs in the last 2 months, and to see 3 FAMs come in and 3 FAMs produce something in those same 2 months is actually pretty rare. So we're really pleased to see how this has turned out. On the far left, Tim Chester and his family visited us back in January. They stayed at the Redwoods in Yosemite, dined at Denali Lodge, and spent plenty of time with Badger Pass skiing. They had a great experience. Tim is actually the deputy editor for AFAR, so it was a big get to get him to come here. I met him in person in Los Angeles, and he wrote a fantastic article on why Yosemite is so great to visit during the shoulder season, specifically winter. Carrie Bridgewater, another person I met at an LA media event back in October, She came here and did 2 pieces, one on Badger Pass, one of the best kept secrets in the Sierra, and another on the Explorer cabins at Tenaya Lodge, where she stayed there and wrote a piece for justlux.com on her experience there. And most recently, we have seen the social posts come, but not quite yet the blog. We're looking forward to that. Leah and Jeremy Garcia, or also known as Practical Wanderlust, are 2 influencers who came and visited Yosemite to extend their content. They had visited recently, I believe, either in December or January, and wanted to add Badger Pass as well as Mariposa County. We got them to stay at Yosemite View Lodge and got nice inclusions on Yosemite View Lodge, 1850, and Badger Pass in the social accounts. And Jennifer, if you're still with us, I'd love to let you to speak to any of the work that your organization's done.
Well, sure. Those were the ones Tony just showed were just from the last, I don't know, 2 months. So we've got, at the last meeting, we talked about the angles that we've been pitching, and a lot, it was very much focused around winter. Badger Pass got a lot of traction and interest this year. There were other journalists that we wanted who were interested in coming and experiencing the ski area, but there's just too many to accommodate, to be honest. So I think we've just done that idea of travel in the off season and that the experience, if you've come to Yosemite before in the summer, it's not a repeat trip. If you come a different time of the year, you're going to see and experience different things. This is really resonating well with media who have, who have covered the area in the past. And we're also continuing to focus on outside of the park. So making sure we're talking about restaurants and museums and hikes that are not necessarily within the park boundaries, so that those will dovetail well with any efforts around the reservation system. Someone was saying earlier in this call about focusing on the Mariposa County assets. And so, we've been pitching those ideas for 2.5 years, 3 years now. And so we'll be continuing to do that. And much like Jonathan said about deals and packages and things like that, we're definitely looking for the fall, the winter, and as we won't do as much in terms of bringing media in during the summer months unless there's an unbelievable opportunity, but we definitely are going to be focusing and pitching the fall season travel pretty soon here. So
thank you, Jennifer. And just real quick, I wanted to touch on, we have had immersion trips with some of our partners. Noble Studios literally just walked out the door. I just waved bye to Aaron. Black Diamond was here in February with Emma and Brendan. It's the first time we've been able to get anyone from our UK office here since before the pandemic. And 360 View PR is going to be here in June, and we can't wait to get them reimmersed.
Let's get through these slides pretty fast because I know we're coming up against some hard time deadlines, but we continue to do the gap analysis and reach out to get forecasting information and feedback from our partners, and we're reporting that back. There's also a need to go back to acquiring different data sources. So as we're putting together the budget for 22-23, we're definitely going to be looking at companies that can provide deeper dives into data, occupancy, travel trends, and really specific information for our destination. And Aaron, this is you.
Yes, so basically during our last board meeting, you'll remember that we told you that we were going to be sending out some referral letters to our lodging partners. We did complete this task, sending out letters to over 550 properties. Some of you might have received some of those. We did this through ground mail, first off to make sure that all of our information for our owners was up to date. And second, to make sure that we gave the constituents something tangible where they could actually see the numbers of the individuals that were referred to them over a given period. The letters that we just sent out were from the period of July 1st through December 31st from last year, 2021. And the next round of letters will be going out in July, and they will cover January 1st through June 30th of this current year. Travel trade,
just shows that are listed. Not much that I won't take time to report here, but we're definitely increasing the number of shows that we're attending in our outbound sales efforts. Kind of the same thing here. I mean, you heard me ask Scott about when meetings might come back to the park so that we can return investment. We are working on updating the properties with meeting space to getting your meeting sales sheets completed. Aaron and Teresa are going to be working on that. And there are a number of properties at this point that are not engaging in the contracting process internationally. And I did learn from Aramark that they actually didn't contract any international room nights through August of this year, which was disappointing. But I do have meetings with their team, or team of one now in Fresno on Friday. They said they are reducing the total number of contracts they're going to be rewarding to only 8. So if you're a property, you're not engaging in offering dynamic inventory or contracting with wholesalers, this is your big chance. We're doing a lot of work. I'm happy to talk with you directly about ways we can engage your property. And I'm saying this more to hopefully people that may watch this video, because I know most of you are involved in the process on this meeting. Just, I think some information here. I'm not going to go through it. We definitely have heated up our international and outbound efforts. And again, I think, the amount of effort we put out in attracting and working with the international companies, we really hope the properties will take the time to respond to RFP requests, even if they're not interested, at least to respond back to these product managers that are contacting your properties. If you're not interested, just be courteous and tell them no, because I'm asking them to contact you, and it's helpful if you can just respond and thank them for their time.
So we're actually working with the local community, especially with our businesses, even more. You've heard of this particular initiative done through Visit California in collaboration with the rural committees. Today was the first of the training sessions. Tomorrow there'll be a second one. So basically this is to help businesses update their profiles on Google. You can see the stats there in terms of why that is so important. And our hope is that we will continue to enhance these listings going forward, and that the chamber will, as a partner in that, will help people understand the importance of doing this. There's a lot of great resources that have been put together for businesses via this effort. Finally, we're also working with our friends at the Gazette, and they are getting ready to publish for the first time in several years the Discover Mariposa. And I think that what we have been able to do is actually put more business their way. Tony took 4 calls after we sent out an email reminding people that this was happening. So people are interested in advertising in it. This helps us in a number of ways. It means that we are not having to focus primarily on providing printed materials. This is another piece of printed material on the things to do in Mariposa County. And also, we want to be good partners with the Gazette, another local business, and Jonathan has arranged for us to help underwrite part of that cost.
Yes, we'll be subsidizing about 20,000 copies to get those out more into the community, because this is a valuable piece, especially with the reservation system. People potentially being stuck in town, having to wait for a 4 p.m. entry. It'll help the visitor center out. So effectively, we're paying to increase their print run, I believe from about 30,000 to about 50,000 to make sure there's enough through the year. So yeah, good chance for you to advertise your business in the Gazette.